everyone, it's Julia, and thank you for joining me today. I am going to be printing a family photo on muslin, and I wanted to share with you how my steps in doing that. My grandma, let me tell you, she could take the most amazing pictures with her little box camera, and this is a picture of my dad and my aunt playing in front of the house that they grew up in, which is also the farmhouse that I grew up in. So it's just fun to have those memories. A little bit about my printer. I have an inkjet printer, so this is not going to be a washable project. This is going to be a project that maybe you are turning it into a textile art, like a mini quilt to hang on the wall. Maybe you're going to be using it in journals or something like that. Something that you're not going to be wanting to wash. Now I will be heat setting this, and so it may take some spot washing. How I like to take care of my textile art or any of like mini quilts and that type of thing that are hanging on the wall, I use a lint roller, and that really takes the dust off of it. So just keep that in mind. My printer that I'm using is a Canon Pixmar 2520 is the style number on it, and I picked it up at Walmart several years ago. I'm thinking at least 6-7 years ago. It is not an expensive printer. I don't know if I would put muslin and burlap and all the things that I put through my printer if it was like I'm not going to use my husband's printer. Let's just say that. So this is just a printer that I'm not going to be out a ton if I wreck it. The next thing I wanted to share with you is how I prepare the fabric to go through this printer. I have a piece of muslin cut down to 8.5 by 11, which is the same size as a piece of copy paper that goes through your printer. In order to get it through my printer, I put something on the back of it to make it more stable. And the thing that I found that works the best for me is the labels that I get to run my orders when I sell on Etsy. There's 2 labels to each piece, and it's sticky on one side. You can pick these up at Walmart. You can pick them up at any office supply store. I'll leave the link down below where I get mine. I get mine off of Amazon. But you can use these over and over again. And I do have one that I used earlier, so I'm going to use that one. I only use one. I don't cover the whole back. I just like put it on the side that's going to go down on my printer. My printer is able to grab it easier that way, and it just works really slick for me. I'm going to be heading to where my printer is, and I'm going to set my camera up so you can see me actually running this through my printer. And it is a little bit of a dark area. I have like a shipping and handling area down there, and I'm going to do the best I can so that you can see it. I'll be laying these items on my copy machine. I'm going to be laying the photo. I also have these little paper letters that I picked up that spell the word play. I got these just in my scrapbook supply stuff that I had. I'm going to also copy a couple pieces of lace so you can see how that prints off on the muslin. This printer loads from the back, and what I like to do is stack a few papers of the copy paper in the back and then put my piece of muslin in the front of that. It helps hold it upright. I'm going to be laying my pieces face down on the bed here of the copier. Laying this lace in a kind of a shape, and also these little circles which have the letters to spell out the word play. I'm going to push color. And then what I like to do is take my fingers and just hold this until my printer grabs it. Here's a close-up of the finished muslin with the printed photos and the little bit of the lace that I put on there, the letters. I've decided to turn this into a little mini wall hanging. The next step that I'm going to do is take this label off. I can get one more use out of this, so I'm going to save this. I'm going to be putting some Heat and Bond light on the back side, and I'll heat set this at the same time. Heat setting is about 3 to 5 minutes. My iron is set to a medium temperature, and I'm not using any steam. I'm ironing from the front side also. Easier to cut the fabric pieces out with that Heat and Bond in the back. And then that's going to help me in placement, so when I'm coming to design my little fabric wall hanging. I'm on to fussy cutting around these pieces. I want my finished wall hanging to measure approximately 9 inches by 12 inches. So have a piece of muslin cut 10 inches by almost 13 inches. I'm going to be taking about a 1/2 inch seam allowance on this, so that gives me that seam allowance. I have a top and a back cut of the same, and then I also have a piece of quilt batting cut the same. Just going to take the back and lay it aside for now, and I'm going to be working on this front. I have gathered a few things that I want to include on. I know I want to add a different color, and I'm thinking this fabric is new, but yet it has an old look to it. I love the green and brings in a little bit of blue and pink. Wanting, of course, to add the photo, and this has the Heat and Bond on the back that can be just peeled off. So now I'll be able to lay this anywhere and iron it on. I have this piece of muslin that I had copied the laces, and I want to try to add this somewhere, but I also want to do the original pieces in here too. Mimic that a little bit. Let's see if I can get that going. I have a piece of trim that looks like old measuring tape. I'm almost out of this, and I've had it for a long time, so I'm sorry I don't have a supplier for it. I have my letters play. And let's see, here's the other one. I wanted to add buttons on this. I had another button. I'll add 3 of them. Well, here it is, 3 of them somewhere. And I want to, again, mimic the circles of these letters. So I do want to add 3 little round buttons somewhere. Found this little muslin rosette in my stash, so I'll put that on. Printed the word every day. I'm going to have it say play every day. I want to add this with free motion, so I'm going to be tracing this and just, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to be laying this out, getting it to the place I like it, then I'll be back. The first thing I'm going to do, I know I want this green fabric going down this left side. I am going to take this to the sewing machine, and I am going to stitch from the back side all the way down, and then I'm going to flip it over and iron that so I have a nice edge right there. Just sliding that word underneath, and I can see through it enough to trace. And tracing it on using the Frixon pens by Pilot. These are such slick pens for this because they completely disappear once they're heated up. So all my lines will disappear once I get done sewing. I have everything in place and I have everything ironed on that had heat and bond on the back. I'm placing a few pins in the laces. Everything's ready now and is in place, and I can take it to the sewing machine. I have my top layer and I have, again, my batting, so both those layers will be going. I'm going to have my sewing machine set up for free motion stitching, and I'm going to be free motion stitching this on. So I'll have my pressure foot that's for my free motion stitching. I will have my feed dogs dropped, so I'm going to be doing all the moving, and I will have my stitch length set to 0. I'm going to start with cream colored thread, and I'm going to be just using cream colored thread to catch everything in place, and also to do just some meander stitching in the muslin. When I start doing the word every day, I'm going to switch to a brown thread. So you'll see that too. So let's get set up at the sewing machine. My stitching is all complete. You can still see the lines or the pen lines on my everyday lettering, and those can be removed really easily just with an iron. All the lines are now gone. Remember to always test your fabric before you try these pens or any other kind of marking thing, because fabric can take pens and that differently. This is a muslin. I've never had any problems with it, but always test before you try things. I'm doing a little bit of trimming. I'm going to add this little rosette using a little bit of the E6000 fabric fuse glue. This is really strong glue, and it also is stretchy. It works great if you're just wanting to apply like a trim to even upholstered items. And it doesn't smell. It doesn't smell like the other E6000 type of glues. To finish off the wall hanging, I'm putting my front and my back together, right sides together, and I'm going to be stitching all the way around using a 1/2 inch seam allowance and keeping an opening at the bottom about 3 inches, 4 inches. I always like to mark that opening just so as a reminder. And then adding a couple pins here and there, trimming the corners. I'm getting my pokey tool in there just to get the corners poked out. I'm doing a final press on my little mini quilt, folding under the opening. The last thing I'll be doing is top stitching on the front side about 1/4 of an inch all the way around. And we'll be closing the little opening with that 1/4 inch top stitch. Thank you so much everyone for watching today. My little project is complete. I did add a little clip on the top to hang it. I really enjoyed this. I tell you, just digging out some of those old family photos just warms my heart and brings back some really good memories. I hope this inspires you to do the same and to turn them into a little project that you can enjoy and see every day. Bye for now.